right here with me is Scholar Wahungu, who is an interior designer. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Where did the Nairobi rainy Wednesday get you?
Coming here, there's a lot of traffic, and yeah, but I'm so excited to be here.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Yes.
And our set is very elated.
Yes.
It is beautiful. I can only imagine living in a space with this kind of lighting. I know there's so much, but we need to start our conversation from somewhere because you could get lost
Right.
in all this beauty.
Yes.
So, interior design. Let's talk about where did the dream first begin?
So for me, my dream began in 2017. So I just kind of had the liking towards design in general. So I just decided to start seeing, watching shows. And then that's when I started thinking about the lighting. So that's when I decided to try a few pieces.
Right.
So I first started at my mom's house. So I did a few lightings. Then I knew I'm ready to go out there and you know, start this.
Would you say then that just growing up, you were interested in making spaces beautiful, or maybe even clothes? Like, where does this creativity come from?
I think it was innate from the beginning, from when I was young. I just didn't know then how to go about it. But then when you have a long-term friend who's been doing this, so we started with him, the crafting and all this. He's a very good woodworker. So I just decided to, you know, challenge him and be like, let's start something. And this is where we are today.
Okay.
Really, yeah.
So far, so good.
Yes.
Okay, and what are the elements, the basic elements of decor? You know, for as long as I can remember, just growing up, then the word decor would come at around Christmas time.
Yeah.
Or would have the ribbons, and you cross them, you put strings, yeah? You
On
put
the ceiling,
strings, yes,
yeah.
on the ceiling, and you put a nail somewhere on one end and on the other, and you put ribbons going down, and you put balloons. So
Yeah.
that was the kind of decoration that a lot of us experienced growing up.
Right.
So making spaces beautiful then, what are the basic elements, like when you walk into a room, what are the
Yes.
basic elements that you're supposed to be seeing?
Color. So color is one of the very most important key elements in design and decor. So what energy do you want to bring into the room? For example, if you do red, it has a lot of it's very intense.
Right.
So when you do maybe greens and blues, it's more cool, it's tranquil, it's, you know, a bit toned down.
Okay.
So it's kind of what energy are you looking for to get into the room?
You know, for people like us who appear on the screen, then
Right.
for me wearing red is bold.
It's very
It means
bold.
that I'm commanding.
Yes.
I'm commanding the stage as I speak. So when it comes to decor,
Yes.
it's just the same.
Yes, it's very intense. So you have to be very careful when you're doing red, because then it's already a bold color. So whatever you're putting in the room should take a back seat, so they're not competing, it's not too chaotic.
Okay.
Yes.
So when I walk into the room, then already by the color on the walls.
You can already tell the energy in the room.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So and what else? I see here we have lights.
Yes.
So is the lighting part of it?
is definitely a very important element also. So it can be natural light, which comes in from outside, and then also the artificial light. So this is not what we are about, you know. So the different sources of light, you can have the table lamps, you can have the floor lamps, you can have the chandeliers and the beams. So it kind of just depends also with the need for the lighting.
Okay.
So the cool lights are, you know, mostly when you just want to chill and everything, but when you want to study or work, then you need the white light, warm lights for, you know, for entertaining and all these things. So you just kind of have to figure the needs of the room to get the, you know, now it's all interrelated.
Okay, and just looking at areas, I don't have to mention names, but we know a lot of estates where buildings are back to back, 7 floors up, 10 floors up.
Oh, that's
and
yes.
there is no natural lighting.
Yeah.
So would these then come in handy?
Yes, they would. Just it depends with how you also placement is very important. But in all houses that I do, I always advise to have an overhead light, to have a floor light, and to just have one that's hanging around there, just in case you want to read or you want to just kind of cozy up the place. So you always need more variety sources of light.
Right.
Yes.
And so would you say that the light in itself, so not only for the function of seeing, but as well beautifying the space, does it warm up the space as well?
Yeah, visually, yes. Visually, for sure. It might not like warm up the space like that, so but visually, when somebody gets into the room, then it's quite beautiful to look at. It just looks really cozy. Okay. Yeah, so aesthetic, definitely. Okay,
and so let's talk about the business part of it.
Yes.
There are very many beautiful spaces in the recent times in the country.
Yes.
Such that when you go to a hotel, you could almost pick a certain theme. When you go to a restaurant,
yes,
a bar, sometimes there's almost a certain theme. You could pick out that there is something they're going for, something classic. So then, how do people decorate spaces? How do you decide to call this classic?
To call this modern, yes.
Yes.
So that's the work of the interior designer.
Okay.
So a good interior designer knows exactly what the client is going for. So I approach a client with, what do you want in your space? What kind of furniture do you want in your space? What kind of lighting do you want in your space? Yeah. So from then I can tell the kind of style, decor style. So we have variety of decor styles. There's modern, there's industrial, there's rustic. So depending on what exactly the client is telling you, so you have to really be sure about whatever the client is talking about.
Okay.
So with that, you can always tell the kind of style they're into and just execute it.
So,
yeah.
And I know we do have some of the images that Ski Decors does, so I believe we'll be running them. But even as we look to put them up right now, then talk to us about, say I come in and I want modern, maybe I'm the more hip type of a person.
Yeah.
Then I like my spaces just looking very clean and modern.
Yes.
So what would you advise I go for?
So what I'd advise is furniture. Furniture, how the furniture looks, it has to have very clean lines. It can be, it's mostly sharp corners and stuff, not very curvy, but yeah, very clean lines, very clean wood. You know, whichever the color you decide on finishing the wood, but it has to be in very clean lines. And then it also has to be very minimal in nature. So it's not too crowded.
Okay.
So the space is kind of like there's the negative space, right? The space where you can navigate to, you know, traffic areas. So there's always space. Space is part of design, actually.
Okay.
It's one of the elements. So you always have, in a modern setting, you always have to have that negative space very visibly.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and looking at this light right here, I don't know if one of our cameras can just get this. So this is more like, is it sisal?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yes.
What kind of style is this?
So this is a very, it's kind of a modern rustic in nature. So it kind of has you see the sisal kind of material.
Right.
Brings the outdoorsy in. So there's that, and then the wood is very modern finish. It's not rough, so it's very nicely textured. So that's kind of a mix of the two, yes.
Okay.
The two
so,
styles.
and sometimes people get, they want beautiful spaces.
Yes.
So you see a couch, especially, you know, recliners are what's in right now. Very many people are loving recliners.
Yes.
And so it's like, I want a recliner. Then when it comes to tables, whatever is in right now, is it like a nice glass table or is it like some nesting tables?
Yes.
Then you want that. So you might end up wanting a lot of good things,
But they're not really fitting
but
in.
it could be too much.
Yes.
So what advice would you give?
So for the recliners, and you just, a good designer, that's what I'll say, should know what goes well with what. So the recliner might be a fabric, it it might be fabric in material,
Right.
The finish. And then it can also be leather. So it depends. When it's leather, it can really go well with, leather can go well with metal. Yes, for that industrial kind of look. Because most recliners are metal. I mean, are leather.
Okay.
So you can do some metal. If you're not too into metal like that, you can maybe make it gold. That will somehow go with it. But then you have to be very design specific, and color. Color is everything. So that kind of marries within the theme.
So you need actually to narrow down and see what exactly defines you.
Yes, and then lastly, for recliners, there's already a lot going on to look at. It's just not a couch. So you just need to be very minimal on the table. You don't want also the table to be going on, so that it's kind of like everything is everywhere.
So, and for the people who say more is more?
You can have more is more, definitely. Maximalists do that. I have met clients who are maximalists, but what you do is also you can be maximal, but also in proportions.
Right.
So the scale is very important. So whatever you put in the space, as much as it's a lot, because there are people who really like a lot in their space, which is okay. But then there's a way you do it systematically and proportionally. Okay. Then it's gonna work, definitely.
And what about, there's some spaces that can be very colorful, but they're still tasteful.
Yes.
How do you achieve that without color clashing?
So we have a color wheel, so that's what guides us. So you know which colors can complement each other, which colors can be, we can have 3 colors in the same space, and that can really make the space pop. And then you see with interior design, the client is right. Just like
client is always right.
Yes, just like any business. So if this client is all about that energy, you have to give them that energy. You can't think of your style because it's their space. So with combining colors, we mostly use the color wheel, and when you approach a client, then tell them you have this and this and this option. So it's easy for them to
So then you know within which range you can mix the colors in your space.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. So, and then when did you make your first coin from the decor interior business?
So 2017 is when I started, and then I attended the first expo towards the end of the year. Oh, that was crazy because I didn't really make a sale. I had done a lot of inventory thinking I'm gonna sell out, but that's just not how it happens mostly. So I sold a mirror for 8,000. So we have decorative mirrors. We also have the kind of like laid back mirrors, but we have the decorative mirrors. So I sold one. At least, yeah, that was my first sale in, that is 2017, around October. Yes, so that was my first coin.
What would you say is the nature of business, or the current state of business for interior designers?
I think just have a niche, really. When you have a niche, when there's something that sets you apart, then you're good to go. Yeah, it may take longer, it may take a while, because there's nothing easy, that. So business can be hard, and also when people are not making good money, the purchasing power goes low.
Right.
So you don't expect somebody to come for decor and they're struggling to survive. It's not a necessity, but it's just amazing how people are open to the idea of making their spaces their own.
And they say that spaces can actually be healing.
They can. Like for me personally, people come to my house and they're like, oh my God, your place is, it's quite something, but it speaks to me. It may not speak to someone else. Someone else might find it beautiful and very aesthetically pleasing, but for me, I made it functional, and at the same time aesthetically pleasing to me. So when I've had a bad day at work, or I've had a crazy day, I just get home to that space. It's really beautiful. You just feel very relaxed. It's healing for sure. And then also with the colors, so you just kind of decide on what colors work for you.
You play around with it.
Yes.
Okay.
So and it's funny that I was reading about a certain designer that I really like, and she was talking about color and how just to know what kind of colors work for you, just go to your wardrobe and look at the clothes that you have. Mostly the clothes that are in there are going to inspire your decorative style. And it's very true, because I actually went and looked at my wardrobe. I was like, oh yeah, I'm more kind of neutral colors and stuff. I'm not very colorful in my dressing, in my fashion sense. So that kind of also, you know,
informs a lot about how you do your interior space.
Yes, it's really an inspiration. So you can try that and kind of see how that works out for you. Yes.
Observe. Okay, I will do that.
Yeah.
And just looking at the business part of it, then capital. You know, like for any other business, capital then is very essential. And for most people, just the initial capital, the lack of the initial capital, then they just postpone the dream or postpone the business idea.
Yes. For me, I think just start. Honestly, just start. Because you can never have enough money to start something. So just start. If starting will make you get a loan, then do that. You know, provided you can handle. But yeah, you can start small. You don't have to have like crazy money to start anything really. So I feel like passion will inform that. So just go with your gut and then just start from somewhere. For me, I started with lights because I didn't do this in school. So this was passion, and then now I come to learn about it. I come to advance myself in it.
Right.
Yes. So because you will meet professional clients who just kind of want somebody who's done this, but when they actually see what you know, what you're saying and what you're doing, then they're like, you know what, doesn't really matter. You can hack, yeah. Yes.
Right. And just looking at the prices, perhaps, then most people have the notion that decor pieces, just beautifying a space, is costly.
Yeah.
And you know, the high cost of living currently the Kenyans are facing.
Yes.
Then what would you say? Do we have to break the bank?
No, you
to
don't.
buy this?
For this, no, you don't. No, basically for any other thing, you don't really. You do a space that you can afford, and then also you can always do a project in phases. That really helps when you don't wanna strain so much, and it's okay. But what I say is, personally, a good designer should advise you on what to go for with your budget.
Okay.
Yes. They're not supposed to just, oh, no, me only do for high-end. No.
Tell you extreme things.
Yeah, or just extreme things. Because what I find most designers go wrong is they just walk into a showroom, and they just pick pieces. We don't do that because we customize our lighting. You might not like our lighting, so we can get you the lighting that you want, but we customize our lighting, we customize our furniture, we customize our mirrors. So anything the client will need, we actually give them exactly what they are going for.
Okay.
Yes.
And we do have to talk about all these pieces that we are seeing right here on our set. But before that, we have to take a very short break. This is The Morning Drift. Remember today's conversation, we are talking Marta's beautiful spaces, the interior decor business. Don't go too far.
Really try this.
So mimi nilikuwa mmoja wa timu kubwa ya Hasla na ngojea mazao yake.
Naam, bila shaka mpenzi mtazamaji, ni awamu nyingine tena ya bunge la mwenyeji ambapo tunasikia tu maoni ya wenyeji, hasa wananchi wa kawaida. Je, maoni ni yapi?
Anakwambia wananchi ndio kila kitu. Unaona dips na system ni wananchi. Unaona vile wamenyorosha watu bwana.
Tumeng'oa nanga kwenye bunge la mwenyeji.
So ile kitu nasema tunamuomba asituachilie.
Hapa kazi tu inaendelea kuwasaka na kuwatambua wale ambao wanafanya kazi extraordinary na zile kazi za kujituma.
Biashara yote unaambiangwa, as long as you have a plan, you can do it. Our service is about kufurahisha the customer.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni hapa kazi tu.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experienced, still trusted God to see them through.
The seeds that was sown in me helped me navigate and overcome that period of my life.
New testimonies, new insights, and even better revelation of the good things God has in store for us.
There is always a blessing waiting for someone in every episode.
I'm also happy, Governor, that you are bringing into the regulation space our online betting companies. Because we also want them to pay taxes. At the moment, they are operating in a space that is opaque. I know opaque has many connotations lately, and not very positive ones, but that space needs much more clarity.
Ni wakati wa mkutano. Jioni kwenye kamati ya kijiji.
Hadithi hii ilianza mwaka 1991.
Vipi kuhusu ngano kwenye shamba langu kikauka? Haina haja. Tutakupa kwa chapi tukafuje.
Mkoa unaojiendesha wa Ningxia ulitekeleza sera ya makazi mapya ya kuhamisha watu wa maeneo yenye umaskini ya Xiaigu ili waweze kujikimu.
Ninatumaini sana kwamba siku moja jangwa hapa litakuwa kijani kibichi na mji wetu wa Mining utakuwa na miundombinu kamili.
Already seen all of it from here, thanks to my wonderful long neck.
Welcome back. This is Lookuptv, and of course the hashtag is Morning Drift. Nancy Nalima here, and today we're talking about the interior decor business. With me on set is Kola Wahungu, who is an interior designer, CEO and founder of Ski Decors. And of course, that is why we're seeing all these beautiful things right on our set this morning. And I want us to talk about all this, Scholar, and just looking at right over there, that is a chopping board.
Yes.
Very interesting, even the shape, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, so
very crafted.
Then what informs that, and even the type of wood, perhaps, that made it?
So with these, we made with the
If you can just hold it up so even the cameras can get it as well.
So we made this with hardwood, mahogany, because it's relatively available. So and then we just imprinted the words with resin so that it's aesthetically pleasing but at the same time functional.
Okay.
So you can have this hanged in the kitchen, or you can have it. You can actually use it. Yeah.
Right. So and why foodie? Because most people are foodies.
Yeah.
Are you a foodie yourself?
I am a foodie. I love food. So I want my kitchen to actually be going on because I love spending time there. Yes.
Okay. And now let's move over, just sampling some of these things that we have here. Okay. Right here. So those are
coasters.
Those are coasters. So they're what you put
so
on the table?
So that you don't damage your table.
Okay.
Yes.
So these are the coasters, and they're in different shades,
Yes,
I'd say. So for this?
So for that is kind of like a burnt wood, and that's also mahogany.
This?
Yes.
So this is mahogany. And so maybe the difference, what informs your decision to decide,
just
like
variety.
Yes, okay.
Just having a variety. Yeah. But you can have a specific design that you want. The same way we do the wood for the lamps, so we can do that also on the coasters.
Also variety, because some people will always love mahogany.
Exactly. Hardwood. And then some people will be like, if you can do my softwood in a better way or a different shade, I will go for it. Yes.
Okay. So, and just looking at even the lights that are on our set this morning, you did say that it's more of the rustic.
Yes.
More of the rustic vibe. So just looking at even what's behind us here, then, okay, do they have names?
Yes, they do.
Okay,
yes.
What is this one specifically?
So that is Vuli. So I named them, these are table lamps, I named them according to Misimu. I don't know how to say that in.
Yes. So like seasons?
Like seasons,
okay.
Yeah. So Vuli is kind of a season. I'm not very good in Kiswahili, but yes. Then we have Chale, we have Mawimbi, we have Makini, we have Kona. This was inspired, South African inspired a little. Right. And then this is Chewi, and then we have Chewi over there. Okay. So yes, they all have names, we make it with that personal touch. So when somebody actually buys them, actually there's a client who asked, your lamps, what inspired you to make them? Then I was like, just some Kiswahili words to just kind of authentify it. Yeah.
So
and then
Kiswahili kitukuzwe.
Kiswahili kitukuzwe at the end of the day. Yeah. So then just making them to have that personal touch, that when you actually send it to someone or sell it to someone, it has that touch.
Okay.
Yes. And it's just not a light imported and stuff. Yes.
And in the spirit of Black Friday, do we have offers?
Yeah, we do.
On any of these items, so that
we actually do. So they can be going for 20 or 30% off.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a good discount, I think.
Right.
I should think. So we have some of these in stock, but there's some which are not here, which have to actually be made on order. So we actually basically make our stuff on order. So, but there are things that we always just have in stock because you just never know. Right. And then, so with such a business, you kind of have to see what is going more and have kind of more of that in stock, so that you'd never have to, all the time a client is ordering something, you're going back at it and the timelines and stuff. Yes. Okay.
And looking at what we have on set, then there's a lot of wood and a little bit of metal.
Yes.
So then why wood? Why does wood feature the most in your pieces?
Oh my God, because my main inspiration was wood. So all our lights are made from wood. So we know how to just craft wood. I can say that's a niche also. So wood for us, because when you see this, it's not the same finish with this, neither with that, neither with this one.
Right.
So first of all, in Kenya, it's very hard to get like different types of wood, so we don't have a variety of wood. So all these are actually the same type of wood. This is all pine, and you just, it's the finish that you do. So you find this is more smooth, this is burnt,
right.
and then this is a bit, this is burnt, then there's something we do to the wood. My little secret. So, yes, so.
That's a recipe you don't share.
Yes, you don't share that. So,
okay.
To just kind of have, and then you can see also they have kind of different colors going on. So you can always be positive about what you have. Yeah, you can never have too little. So you just, whatever you have, like for us, we mostly use pine because it's easy to work on lights. We can also use hardwood when the client wants, but this is easier to make it cheaper because it's softwood, and then now you can have a variety of finishes on it.
Okay, yes. And of course the big question is it sustainable? That's always a big issue.
Yes,
when people try to get into any business.
So with our wood, we cure them before we start the process.
There's curing of wood?
Yes, wood is cured, okay. Because then when wood stays for long, it starts having the black holes, like eating itself somehow.
Okay.
So you definitely have to cure wood, but also where you get it is very key. You just don't buy wood. So whatever the wood that you get, you cure it. So we leave them to, to dry up really well so that it's tough enough so that it can withstand anything.
Okay.
And you find that most of our lights really stay for a very long time. And the bulbs too, because what we use is LED. Okay, this one is not LED, so it depends with the client. Some people want more beauty, because LED always just has the filaments in it. So if you see the filaments, that's an LED.
Right.
So this bulb lasts forever.
Okay. And
yes.
One concern also as a customer, when I'm buying a decor piece, then I want to know that it's going to take me a while before I can purchase another.
Yes.
Yeah. So then the quality.
Investment, yes, the quality.
It needs to be a worthy investment.
Yes. So with the amount of money you're buying it for, it's value for money for sure. Because these you'll last with it. You'll actually be like, oh, I'm gifting someone. I just have to go redo this and gifting someone, because they will last. There's really nothing that will happen to this wood, and you can actually see the finish from here, so you can tell this is good craftsmanship. Yeah.
Okay, and just the business part of it.
Yeah.
Then I asked if the business is sustainable. So just how is the business doing in the country right now? What would you say about the decor business in the country right now? Are designers getting more opportunities? Just what is the scene like?
Gosh. I think sustainability depends on what you're doing exactly, because everybody now calls themselves designers. I have seen that a lot, but it's, do you know exactly what you're doing? Do you know exactly what you're going for? Yeah. So, and then also brings me to being authentic. It brings me back to being authentic. You really have to be authentic in what you do. Like, what sets you apart? Why have ski decors and not have any other interior designer coming in who's more known, who's done more work? So what sets you apart? So for me is, if somebody looks at the projects I've done, a few residential houses, I've done a commercial project also, so an office setting. So yeah, so when somebody sees that, they're either gonna be for it or not. So you see, like, it's just like any other business. You're not there for everybody, necessarily.
And how do you then take criticism? Because not everyone might like what you do.
Well, before I had to learn, because before it used to be very hard to take criticism when you start. I think you don't know what to expect. You think you're always right. And then later is when you're like, oh no, I always kind of have to listen to what people are saying. So when I come up with, say, a light or a mirror, I just kind of have to ask for feedback from people. before selling or before putting it into the market, to just kind of see and get that feedback is very important. So from then I just started to, you know, turn it back and listen to constructive criticism, because it's very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what would you say is your biggest fail? You know, sometimes you do, it could be an order, and then the execution, not what you expected.
Yeah.
So have you had like a major fail?
Yes. Okay, I can call it a fail, but I can call it an experience. Okay. So I was not very experienced in doing projects before I did my first project. So I underquoted, unfortunately. So yeah, that can be a lot, because there are people you have to pay. I have a whole team. So you see, that's me on the crossfire. And then and then also timelines. Timelines is really crazy. So take up a project. What I'd say is when you're taking up a project, just be very specific about the timelines. You can try your best, because clients are always very impatient, but then just do something you can handle.
Right.
Don't buy it.
Don't overpromise again.
Yes. Don't never do that.
Like, what we know for a lot of fundis, they'll tell you, from tailors to fundis, like the once a week furniture.
Don't tell me about it.
They'll tell you, come on Friday, then Friday turns into next week on Monday.
Yeah, then turns into that other Friday. Right. So you always, with me, what works for me is, once I give a client the quotation and then they ask for the timeline. So you give a timeline, but you add maybe 2 weeks, maybe like 14 days or 15 days more. So that just, you know, you give your team enough time to work around everything. Because it's always crazy. And then now it's your name on the line. It's you who they're in contact with. And you have to kind of protect your name. Because you need business at the end of the day, yes.
So what are the don'ts in the interior decor business?
Don'ts, I'd go for, when you're decorating any space, don't start with the small pieces. That will not work. Because you end up buying very many small pieces. And then what that does is, now when you're finishing up the space, you're like, oh, these I look nice, these I look nice. So it's not really fitting into the space. So always start with the larger pieces.
So you talk about larger pieces. What exactly do you mean?
So we are talking about the furniture. We're talking about the table, the coffee table. Like for instance, a living room. We're talking about coffee table. We're talking about a TV unit. We're talking about the couch. So the colors will inform the smaller pieces. When you have the couch ready, when you have the coffee table ready, when you have the TV unit ready, it's very easy for you to now put the cushions and the throw pillows and the linens and the throw covers. Any other thing will be informed by the colors that are already, you know, underlined.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the tiny house, or a very small space.
Yes.
A bed seater perhaps. Then people still want beautiful spaces,
yes,
no matter how small they are. But it could be hard to decorate a small space as small as a bed sitter, because now there is the bed, then there could be a couch, then there could be your dishes not very far.
Yeah,
everything,
I know, like it's very cluttered
all together.
Yes.
So what would your advice be for someone who has a very small space?
Small spaces, apparently, to me personally, small spaces are the best to work with, because there's not really so much to be done, but there still is. So what you do with small spaces, functional, make it as functional as possible.
Right.
Yes, it will be beautiful because it's your space. You have to get something that's beautiful, but still it has to be functional, because you can't have a piece that's not functional. You can't have bed sitter, then you're there with a whole recliner set. That cannot work. So you kind of have to be very functional, very intentional.
Okay.
So measure. For me, I don't have a very big house, it's a bedroom, but what you do, you have to measure the spaces. Oh, this is how the couch will look like, because you don't have so much space. So you kind of have to fit everything in that space without making it look cluttered. And then what also advice for a small space, always have a round table. Yeah, don't do a rectangular or...
Right.
Yes, because a round table always just gives room for traffic, for navigation. So it can be a small space, but then there's a round table, then it looks quite neat. So with a small space, just have functional stuff. So you can have, for example, for a bed sitter, the couch, you can just have storage underneath. For the TV unit, you can definitely have storage also on in there. Yeah, so just different places where you can, you know, tuck in the nitty-gritties that you don't really need to show out there.
Right.
Yes.
And what about mirrors? I know, because I'm also interested in beautiful spaces.
Yes.
Then I read a lot and see a lot of images about how mirrors can transform a space.
They do. So mirrors, actually, the first thing they do is, before beautifying a space, they make the space appear bigger. So the room is the same way it is, it doesn't change, but once you put a mirror, then the reflection kind of makes it look further.
So that's why a lot of fast food joints then have all those mirrors.
So they look like it's opened up, but it's not really a big space.
Right.
But to you visually, you'll be like, oh, okay, this is nice. So always mirrors accentuate the space. So they make it bigger, they make it brighter. So, and also with mirrors, also placement is key. You cannot put a mirror opposite to the TV. Yeah, so probably you can have it on the entryway, you can have it above the sofa, you know, something that also placement is very key. Something that is going to accentuate the space.
Okay,
yes.
And then what are the opportunities that are there, apart from now being approached by a client? You did mention something about an expo, an exhibition, you did say.
Yes.
So what are some of those other opportunities that are there for interior designers? We know that there are even more that are upcoming.
I think just, I will say this, but you know, friends, you can use your friends, you can use family to help. Yes, which, you know, when you listen to people's experiences, they don't usually do. You know, the most clients you get is from online.
Right.
People you don't know, strangers. But also just start from somewhere. You can start with your own house and just transform your own space and then market that, and then you start getting clients. That's what you do. And then also...
so you don't necessarily have to reach out to a bigwig for you to make it in this industry?
Not really. You just have to... These days, concert with YouTube, I think it's a really good place to market, to just kind of maybe have a video and then you're talking about the space. But then, if you're going for this business, then you really have to do your homework. Like, you really have to dig deep. What has inspired my space? Like, why did I do this and not this? Why did I do this style? Why did I do this couch? Why did I do this rug and not a linen one? Why did I do a cotton rug? Why did I do... So everything, all the textures, all the layers, all the lines, everything about what consists of design, you have to have it here, because then it becomes easy when you're defining a space.
Okay.
For me, like the projects I've done, I can actually say what inspired this. You know exactly what has informed the decision to coming up with that project. So that's very key. And then you really need to know your shit. So yeah.
Okay. And just looking at the business part of it.
Yes.
So you've had your business all the way from 2017.
Yes.
So what would you say is how are Kenyans embracing the interior decor into their spaces?
Oh my God, first of all, big up to landlords, because they've kind of become a little flexible, a little easy to allowing people to create their spaces when they're there. Because, you know, they'll not live there forever. So I've done a lot of rented apartments. So I just feel like people are embracing the idea. People have, you could look on YouTube and you see how people have some really beautiful spaces going on. So that is showing you that the trend is, you know, it's coming up. People are starting to be aware of, you know, you just don't want to it's a house. No, you actually want a beautiful space where you can share with family or with your friends. So yeah, it's going up, which is a good thing. And the best part is dealing with middle class people, because they're really going for it. Yes.
Right.
Yes, for sure.
So would you say that those are your major clientele?
Yes, that's my major clientele for now. Yes, I'm open to, you know, high-end and stuff, but that's a clientele that it's very easy to work with because they exactly know what they're going for.
Okay.
Yes, and they just do
But
it.
you also did say that then people have to, you can customize, and of course, depending on the client's budget,
yes,
then you can work with that and with the available materials within that budget.
Yes. So with the budget, never be scared of a budget, because at the end of the day, you are to buy a couch, you are to buy a table, so you're always going to spend, right? But then how are you spending it? Because you also, there are pieces you buy you want to stay with for long. They have to be durable. So with interior design, just know where to splurge and know where to save.
Okay.
You'd splurge on coffee table, on couch, like the big pieces that I mentioned before. You would splurge on that, but on a bed, you'd have to splurge on that because you want to actually stay with a bed. But for something like a couch, a carpet or throw pillows, that's not something you can really splurge on. So you kind of save on that and put money elsewhere where you really need it.
Okay.
Because you need a good couch, you need a good bed. So there are those pieces that you will have to spend more, which is good because it's for the long haul. And then there are just those pieces that you can always change as you move from one house to another. So you don't really have to put too much attention to it.
Right.
Yes.
And then there's always a push for Kenyans and even, of course, business owners
Yes.
to make Kenyan brands. Because there's a lot of importation of different goods. Where the people import a lot of furniture, even lights are imported as well.
Yes.
So how would you say that hurts your business, and what do you think even moving forward the government can do?
Oh yeah, it definitely is a downside for for local artisans, and we should be promoting our own made in Kenyan brands. So I didn't really know people are out here doing made in Kenyan brands when I attended the exhibitions. That's when I understood and I felt like I actually belong somewhere, because now I met people who actually craft things, something similar to yours, but everybody just kind of have their own touch. So there's definitely need for the government to come in and help when it comes to people getting local, purchasing local made interior decor elements, because I think it's very important. And then you come and realize you can't really compete with China, because probably I would sell you this lamp at 4,000 bob. This one goes for 4,000 bob, and you would get something like this China imported for what, 2.5?
Right.
So it's they can't really compete.
So it's sort of closed the market.
Yes, exactly. So that's not the person you're going for. If somebody wants to buy that, they'll buy that because it's definitely cheaper. But somebody who will actually buy this will appreciate the work that has been put in it.
Okay.
Yes.
And finally, because I'm being told our time is up,
okay,
then an advice to, there is someone who's never paid much attention to their space, but now they want to do something about it. But say everything is all over the place.
Yes.
And it's overwhelming. So where do you start if you want to beautify your space?
With a good interior designer, I think visit the space first, then you can advise from there. So it can be somebody who wants to just get rid of everything, and it can be somebody who just wants you to help them with what they have, so you can reupholster.
Can make it work.
You can make it work. You can, they don't have to spend a dime to get a whole new space. Nobody has that kind of money just laying around. So you can definitely reupholster couches. You can redo the coffee table. You can just see what to add and what to work with according to their budget.
Okay. So. And what's then the future of Ski Decors?
Ski Decors, we are definitely getting into real estate, so you'll be seeing us very soon. Yes.
And thank you so much for being part of the conversation. We know this is an ending conversation, and I believe a lot of people even just want advice just from watching here.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And I believe maybe perhaps we'll be inviting you back to the show just to talk more about spaces, because then we are in a space which is a studio, I don't know if you judged a couple of things around, or maybe we can't give you business. We'll just talk about that.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being part of the conversation.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Scholar Wahungu, who is the owner and founder of Decor. She is an interior designer. And I'm Nancy Lima. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation as well. And let's keep the conversation going across all our social media platforms. At Lookuptv on Facebook, Lookuptv on YouTube, and Lookuptv on our Twitter handle right there. And the hashtag is The Morning Drift. It's bye for now, but I'll be handing you over to Simba Elijah, who will be letting you know what's happening on the business front. Have a beautiful day.